The engine was off. Emma hadn't moved. She sat in the parking garage of the Whitmore building with her hands in her lap and the keys on the passenger seat and the clock on her dashboard reading 8:52. She had 8 minutes before the Monday stand-up, plenty of time. She didn't move. It wasn't dread exactly. She tried to name it on the drive-in. It wasn't fear. It wasn't anger. It was something, quieter and more specific. A particular weight that settled in her chest every Sunday evening and had been getting heavier for the last few months. The feeling of needing to prepare, to brace, to review in advance every possible thing she might say wrong. At a job she was good at, very good at, actually. She picked up her bag, put her keys in the side pocket, took one slow breath. Then she got out of the car. Emma Caldwell had been a content strategist at Harrow and Brand for 2.5 years. She'd come from a smaller agency in Minneapolis where she'd done good work for smaller clients. Harrow and Brand was a different caliber, national accounts, real budget, the kind of agency where good ideas actually went somewhere. She'd been nervous in the interview. Richard Holloway had walked her through the office personally. Mid-40s, polished in the easy way of someone who'd been successful long enough that it didn't require effort anymore. He knew everyone's name on the floor. He stopped at someone's desk to ask about their kid's soccer game. He walked her past the creative wall, 6 feet of pinned campaign work, and said, without looking at his phone, "The best work here starts with the strategy. If the thinking is right, everything else follows." She thought, this is where I want to work. She'd been promoted 14 months in. Not a big promotion. Senior strategist to lead strategist, but it came with a raise and a new line on her title. Richard had sent her a handwritten note. Blue ink, legal-size paper.
The thinking you bring to this team is exactly what we need more of. Congratulations, Emma. More to come.
She'd kept the note in the top drawer of her desk at home. She still didn't know what to do with that. The Harrow and Brand offices were on the 14th floor. Open plan, mostly. Long rows of standing desks, clusters of plants, glass-walled conference rooms lining the north wall. Richard's office was at the far end, also glass, so you could always see him working. Rich he often was, even when the floor was empty. The first thing Emma noticed that Monday, walking in, was that the creative wall had changed. Specifically, there was a campaign brief pinned up front and center, one she recognized. She'd written it. The document on the wall had a different header, not her name anywhere on it. Direction, Richard Holloway. Subtitle, Campaign Architecture, Q2 Refresh. She stood in front of it for a moment. Then she went to her desk, opened her laptop, and told herself she must have misremembered who'd been credited. The Monday stand-up was 12 people around the long table in conference room A. Richard at the head, coffee in hand, easy and unhurried. He ran the stand-ups the way he ran everything. Efficiently, warmly. He remembered things. He asked follow-up questions on updates from 2 weeks ago. He made people feel seen. If you'd only ever known Richard in a stand-up, you would have described him as exactly the kind of leader you'd want to work for. Emma gave her update. She'd finalized the content calendar for the Vantage account. 3 campaign pillars, each with deliverables mapped to Kite and Q timeline. She talked for maybe 90 seconds. Richard nodded.
Good. Really strong framework, Emma. I want to pull some of those pillar concepts into the deck I'm putting together for the Vantage presentation next week.
There it was, clean, smooth, almost unremarkable.
Oh, should I be part of that? I could come to the presentation. I know the account pretty well at this point.
I appreciate that. Let me think about the best use of your time this week. We'll circle back.
She'd heard that phrase before. Let me think about the best use of your time. The first few times, she'd waited. They'd never circled back. The meeting moved on. Emma wrote "circle back" presentation in her notebook and underlined it once. 6 days later, she heard about the Vantage presentation from Jasmine at the espresso machine. It had gone well. The client loved the campaign architecture. Richard had presented it. They'd extended the contract on the spot. Emma stood there with her cup.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know it had happened yet.
Jasmine looked at her. Something quick in her expression, almost pity. Yeah, he put the deck together over the weekend. It was really beautiful. Emma went back to her desk. She opened the Q2 strategy document she'd spent 3 weeks on and stared at it. Then she typed a message to Richard. Short, careful. Hi, I heard the Vantage presentation went well. Congratulations. I was hoping to be included or at least looped in afterward. Is there a debrief? Richard's response came within 4 minutes. Emma, the presentation went great. Thank you. I had to move quickly given the timeline. These things sometimes happen faster than we can coordinate. You know how it is. Let's find time this week to debrief. I want to make sure you feel connected to the account. She read it twice. She'd worked on that account for 4 months. The campaign architecture Richard had presented was a document she'd written. She had the draft history in her files. She felt connected to the account. What she didn't feel was included. And she wanted to ask, why? Not aggressively, not as a confrontation, just, why wasn't I included? She typed it, deleted it, retyped it. She sent, sure, happy to debrief whenever works for you, no rush. She didn't know why she'd said no rush, but she knew she'd been afraid to ask the first question. The short one, the simple one. Why? 3 weeks passed. Emma got better at noticing, or maybe she just stopped talking herself out of noticing. It started with the Brixton account, a Monday meeting where she'd walked in with a detailed recommendation. Rework the content strategy around seasonal peaks, pull back on evergreen production. She'd spent a weekend on the data, 12 pages of analysis. Richard had listened, nodded in all the right places.
I like this direction. Really smart thinking, Emma. I want to sit with it this week and bring something to the senior team meeting Thursday.
She'd taken it as a compliment. Of course he wanted to develop it further. He was the director. Thursday's senior team meeting was leadership only. She wasn't invited. She didn't expect to be. Friday morning, she got an email from the head of accounts. Great news on Brixton. The new strategic direction is getting leadership alignment. Richard's vision for the seasonal approach is really clicking. Richard's vision. She stared at the phrase for a long time. Then, she did something she hadn't done before. She walked to Richard's office. He was on a call, but he saw her through the glass and held up one finger. She waited. He wrapped up in less than 2 minutes.
Emma, come in.
She sat, kept her voice even.
I heard the Brixton strategy direction got leadership alignment. That's great.
It is. Really good momentum on that account.
I was wondering. I put together the 12-page analysis. Was my name anywhere in how it was presented?
Something shifted in Richard's face. Almost imperceptible. Like a light going off in a room at the end of a long hall.
Emma, I want to ask you something. Why are you focused on attribution right now? Is that what this is about for you?
I did the work, and I wanted to know if that was acknowledged somewhere.
I understand that, I do. But I want to gently push back. We are a team. The work we do here isn't about who gets the byline, it's about what serves the client. And I think you know that.
Right.
Is there something else going on? Because I want to support you, and if there's something you need from me in terms of recognition or feedback, I'm genuinely open to that conversation.
She blinked. The question she'd asked, why wasn't I attributed, had somehow in the span of 90 seconds become a question about what was wrong with Emma. She hadn't asked why she was being difficult, she'd asked why her work wasn't credited, and yet here she was, being asked if she needed support.
No, I'm fine. I appreciate it. I just wanted to flag it.
Of course, and I hear you. Let's keep the lines open.
She walked out, stood in the hall for a moment. Then she walked back to her desk, sat down, and opened a blank document. She typed one sentence. Why does asking why make me feel like I did something wrong? She stared at it, then deleted it, then went back to work. The second time, she almost didn't notice at all. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The Meridian campaign, a health and wellness brand Emma had been running for 6 weeks, had a deliverable deadline of the following Friday. Emma had built the whole production calendar around that date. 3 writers coordinated, assets briefed, revisions scheduled. Then an email arrived from the production team. The deadline had been moved up by 2 weeks. Not an error, a decision no one had told Emma. She found Richard at the coffee bar.
Hey, I just saw the Meridian deadline update. It's been moved 2 weeks earlier. I wasn't looped in on that decision. Can you tell me why it changed?
Richard poured his coffee. He didn't look up immediately.
Emma, why are you making this harder than it needs to be?
I'm not trying to... I just need to understand so I can adjust the production schedule.
The client needed it earlier. That's the whole story. Let's focus on what needs to happen next, rather than why it happened.
I understand. I just need to know so I can brief the team.
Emma, the deadline moved. Can we focus on solutions and not on relitigating decisions that have already been made?
He said it pleasantly. Reasonably, with the tone of a patient adult explaining something obvious to someone who was making it complicated. And he still hadn't answered the question. She'd asked why the deadline changed. He'd asked why she was making it harder. He'd redirected to the word solutions. He'd reframed her question as relitigating. He'd said everything, except it changed because the client called Thursday and pushed back the review window. She went back to her desk and adjusted the production calendar, wrote the emails to the writers, updated the asset brief, did the work. But something sat differently this time. Not hurt, not confusion. Something more like a pattern she'd almost recognized. She just couldn't quite see its shape yet. The third time, she almost saw it clearly. It was a Thursday. Emma had been working on a pitch for a new account. Hargrove Financial, a mid-size investment firm. Emma had spent most of 2 weeks on the pitch deck, research, strategy framework, 3 different positioning angles, sample content direction. The pitch meeting was set for Thursday at 2. Richard had set it up. Emma had put it in her calendar 3 weeks ago. At 12:15 on Thursday, she got a Slack from Richard's assistant. Heads up, the Hargrove pitch is today at 2. Richard and the VP team are locked in. Conference room B. She read it twice. Then she replied, "Thanks, I'm planning to be there. I built the deck." The assistant's reply came back in 4 minutes. I'll check with Richard and confirm. At 1:45, the reply. Richard wanted me to let you know the room is smaller than expected, and he's keeping the group tight. He said he'll share your slides in the intro. She sat at her desk and looked at the glass wall of conference room B. She could see the team assembling. Richard at the center, slides already loaded on the screen. Her slides, her data, her framework, her writing. She watched them walk in. The door closed. At 2:03, Richard was speaking. She could see his hands moving. Confident gestures, the easy smile. She turned back to her screen.